welcome to episode 6 of the O2 Dropcast, a podcast by Arizona Eternal Magic, where if we don't talk about it, you shouldn't care about it. My name is Zach Zent, and with us, as usual, we have Mr. Daniel Espinoza.
What up?
David Shikowski.
Yo, yo, yo.
And your boy, Jesse James Adams.
You boy.
And spoilers for later in the podcast, Jesse took down the first event here in Arizona for our city champs. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But he is the winner, and he has earned his spot in that chair. He has earned that.
Welcome, bro.
Thanks for having me.
The Golden Throne.
You
Not
boy.
for everyone.
Jesse's a staple of our community around here, and he actually, little side note, he was part of the encouragement for the O2 Dropcast. So I don't know if you guys know that, but I bounced names off him.
I did not know that.
He
Yeah.
did before we went to sushi before F&M.
Yeah, I did not pick any
nice.
of the names that he suggested.
A little
They're probably
tilted.
already bad. They're probably really bad. Maybe if we have time, you can tell us some of your terrible suggestions later.
The feature match was fire.
That was actually not.
It's not bad.
That was not bad.
It was gas.
It's not
Yeah.
the look we're going for, though.
No,
Damn.
O2 Dropcast is way more
Which is
fitting.
very appropriate, and we will get to it later for our tournament report. For Zach and I, for the Masters of it, or the City Champs.
That was intentional.
Yeah,
this
we're
one's-
trying to.
yeah.
It's a brand identity. We're building
For
an
the
identity.
memes.
Absolutely.
Consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually won and then scooped
Yeah.
for just for consistency with the brand. No, it was horrible. It was a horrible experience. It was a sad day for Zach, but. I don't know. How was your guys' weeks? SB, did you play some Magic? What did you do with your time? How's your life?
Life is life is going well. Enjoying this incredible weather here in Arizona. And obviously I've been playing some Magic. I've been mixing it up. We'll talk about it about the event, but so I've been playing some fair decks lately. I played some Stoneblade,
Which is unusual.
right?
Yeah.
Unusual for me.
Yeah.
I've been playing some Stoneblade variants, Grixis Delver, and then Friday for F&M I played Eldrazi Stompy, and it's been a few years since I've played it. It felt really good.
Yeah?
I did have a nice little fumble in one of my matches and lost to Tony Hare, but other than that, I won all my other matches.
How
And,
was Grixis Delver? How'd you feel about playing it?
So coming up into the Masters event or the City event at Pod Player Draw, I was crushing. I was doing very well with it. I felt very confident with it.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the better decks in the format.
Yeah.
And then the O2 drop happened. So
Okay.
I'm reconsidering how I feel about it, and it might not be as high up on the totem pole as I felt it was. But also, I think I'm just a combo player, and I should just be playing combo decks. So.
Yeah, I honestly kind of feel very similar about running Grixis Delver around here, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. What else, man? So you got on the Eldrazi Stompy. So you're doing small Eldrazi. You're doing the Stompy aggro version, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So since the inception of the Eldrazi decks, I think I picked it up a few years ago because I thought it'd be
Yeah.
well positioned for the A-Bong's AZ Magic Players Legacy Series 2016, I want to say.
Yeah, 2016 was
Yeah.
when that deck started. Yeah.
So I picked it up prior to that event and tested it pretty extensively. Took second in that tournament. And I played it for a good bit. And I've always felt the deck is so powerful that there's really no need to play the 12 post or the big version because it's so aggressive, so fast, and so disruptive that if you're playing the big version, you just give your opponent extra turns to get in the game.
Yeah.
Whereas you can drop some mimics and hit some thought knots to disrupt and some
So you
smashers.
like it better than the 12 post variant where you're like just trying to get to the end and that inevitability?
I honestly don't think the big Eldrazi are necessary. The when you cap it at like the 6 drops with like Oblivion Sower or Endbringer, I think like that's the sweet spot because you're just ramping up hard and you're doing so much damage. You have the potential of doing like 15 damage on turn 3 or something. So I've always been a fan of the Stompy builds, and it's always suited me well, and it's always done very well.
It's not as cool, though.
Sure, whatever. I'm trying to win, okay?
All right.
But yeah, Eldrazi Stompy is what I played last. So
Cool, man. Cool. Yeah. I haven't been playing a whole lot of Magic lately, but I know Shikowski's been playing some Magic. You've been jamming, dude.
Yeah, last Friday I went ahead and took out 4 Horsemen for a spin. That was a fun night. I did only get one win on Tash. He did mess up. He thought seized
Poor
me.
guy.
I knew my top cards. He sees Emrakul, Force of Will, and Mesmeric Orb. And he's like, all right, you have...
What?
Yeah.
What the shit are you... Did he know, like, automatically, or was he just confused?
He was a little confused, but I did talk to him before the event when we had a couple drinks the night before, and I told him I'm thinking about doing Four Horsemen, and I definitely caught him off on game one and kind of stole that from him.
Tight.
Yeah, and
I'm surprised you didn't actually go better with that. Like,
it's a fun deck, but it is kind of a one-trick pony. You kind of do your trick once, and once the opponent knows what's gonna go on, it's a lot easier to disrupt.
Like
once
what
you
the
know.
critical cards are. And
Exactly.
there's
Sure.
probably, like, it's more difficult than Storm and is susceptible to all this kind of similar hate pieces, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I did have a package that you'd sideboard into like a show and tell, and you only show and tell Emrakul, and you have Painter and Grindstone because you have Ancient Tombs in there.
That sounds amazing.
But I kind of realized with the Painter Grindstone, a lot of hate for Four Horsemen is artifact destruction, and when they bring in artifact destruction and you bring in Painter, they still have a pretty decent sideboard against you.
Wait, so what decks are bringing it? So you kill them with the Painter combo, they see it, and then they bring in artifact destruction?
Well,
First,
the
you
Four
kill
Horsemen
them with
combo.
the Four Horsemen combo.
Basalt Monolith.
Assault Monolith,
so
Mesmeric
okay, so they
Orb.
see that coming, and then the Painter Servant is just like it's still susceptible to the same types of hate.
Yeah.
It's like a Nombo
okay.
with their sideboard hate.
It avoids graveyard hate, but it folds to people bringing in artifact hate.
What would be another thing you can do besides Painter Servant?
That show and tell
the show and
package.
tell, right? But like,
Yeah.
can you just like lean more heavily into that?
I think that's what I'm going to try next time around, but I like to bring the
Well,
deck out
shh, don't tell
every
anybody.
couple of years here and there, catch people off guard, so you're not going to see me on that for
It's
a while.
a fun time. I was thinking about like playing Tin Fins for kind of the same reason. Like it's very
Yeah.
similar in terms of its deck there.
True.
So you went 1-3 with it. That's respectable.
Yeah, I've been trying to lay off Storm for a little bit, trying out different things here and there. I'm going to be just testing out random builds. I saw a cool check pile list with like Tarmogoyfs on the sideboard, so I think I'm going to bring that out next
Okay,
week.
like check pile sideboard into like mid-rangey kind of.
Pretty much, yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, people are going to be sideboarding in like Pyroblast and Hydroblast and stuff that gets rid of Planeswalkers. They're probably not going to be like going for the creature kill stuff.
Exactly. So we'll
can
see
see
how
that.
it goes.
Now, just for the people at home or maybe the legacy newbies that don't know what Horseman does, and I don't know the intricacies of it, do you want to just kind of touch on the basics of how that combo works?
Sure.
'Cause
So
it's pretty cool.
it is a fun combo. There is a soft band on it because there is a loop in the deck that is undefined, and it could just go on forever and ever, and just you're gonna get slow play warnings because you can't pull off the combo.
Gotcha.
But essentially, what you do, you run out a Basalt Monolith, which you can tap it for 3 mana and then untap it for 3 mana. And then you have Mesmeric Orb, which is anytime you untap a permanent, you mill a card. So you go ahead and mill yourself out. You do have Narcomoeba.
Wait, so how do you mill yourself out?
With the Mesmeric Orb, each time you untap
So you just
the
you just
Basalt
activate
Monolith.
the monolith multiple times. Okay.
Exactly. You just keep flickering it on and off, and you mill yourself until you hit your Narcomoebas. Once you get 3 Narcomoebas out, you do have Cabal Therapies to kind of clear the path. And if you have any combo pieces in your own hand, you can kind of Cabal Therapy yourself to ensure the correct cards are in your graveyard. But once you're at a point that you have 3 Narcomoebas out and a Dredge return, you Dredge return Shroom the
Shroom the Hedgemon.
Hedgemon. And then
Such jank.
that creature brings in a great artifact called Blasting Station, which reads tap it and sacrifice a creature, deal 1 damage to any target, and then it untaps whenever a creature comes into play on your side of the battlefield. So you sacrifice the Shroom to it, deal 1 damage to your opponent, then you continue milling yourself, and you have an Emrakul in the deck. So those Narcomoebas get put back into your deck, and you mill them again Once they come out, the blasting station untaps. You sacrifice an Archimeeba, deal 1 damage, and you rinse and repeat till they're dead.
So you just loop until you can kill them.
Exactly.
You can't see the room right now, but everyone has like a look of disgust on their face a little bit as David's explaining this. It's a gross deck, but I mean, it's fun, man. I wouldn't pilot it because I'd probably just be horrible at it. It takes a little bit of skill, right?
A tiny bit. I think is relatable to a show and tell deck. You have your Limdul's Vaults.
So it's really small amount of skill.
Yeah, it's get your 2 combo pieces out and you win the game.
So, and the reason that it's a a soft ban is because it's a non-deterministic loop, right? So you could loop indefinitely and keep hitting Emrakul and not your Narcomoebas, right?
The Narcomoebas are not an issue. They're gonna
they'll always
come
hit.
out
They'll eventually
here
hit.
and there. It's about getting the graveyard configuration of Dredge Return, Sharoom, and Blasting Station in the graveyard before you hit an Emrakul.
Okay, because with Sharoom, when Sharoom comes into play, it brings an artifact back. So it brings back the blasting station.
Correct.
And then you just start sacrificing, and then you keep looping.
But if you don't hit that and you just kind of like hit some Emrakuls or something, the game state's not changing, and that's the slope play part because you're not getting all the pieces that you need.
You're not progressing the board state or presenting infinite loop.
Yeah, judges don't like that.
Yeah. Plus, on the bright side, you're running 2 Emrakuls because if you get one of them surgical or something, you can pay 3 mana while Basalt Monolith is untapped to continue milling to hit your second Emrakul, to shuffle your graveyard, and then let the surgical resolve. So
without a legal
So
target.
it's nothing.
Correct.
Yeah, that's some sneaky jank bullshit.
Definitely.
I'm so happy that you played it though. That's the great thing about Legacy is you can just there's so many decks that you can play that are either viable or semi-viable, and even some of the jank decks make it to the top, man. And we'll get to that later when we talk about Maverick's finish here in Arizona.
See what you did there.
Yeah. So you've been so Jesse, I know you've been playing Maverick. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But how was your week, man? Tell me.
I was pretty good. I played in 5 pre-releases.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is
I played one of
lot.
each guild. Rakdos was the best by far.
Is it really?
I was killing people on turn 4 consistently.
Wow. And what was the how was the turn 4 kill like?
You just curve out and play
Just
a
a
bunch of
super
removal
aggro?
spells. No, some pre-releases are a little more casual.
Okay.
People are playing like more fun cards than good cards.
Sure.
You live on the west side, right?
Central.
No, central now. Yeah, you moved.
by
So-
Snapcasters.
Okay, so is that where you did all your pre-releases?
Yeah,
and
I did one at
snaps?
North Valley Sunday morning, but
Cool.
the rest were at Snaps.
Cool. How was the turnout for those? Was the field soft or
It was
pretty
It's a
casual?
one of the
Casual
Magic
format.
tournaments I've been to where I didn't know everybody in the room,
Okay.
so it was a little more casual. But pre-releases are always fun.
That's cool.
No new legacy cards in the new set, I think.
Have you played any Legacy as of since the tournament?
I haven't played any legacy since the
Damn.
tournament.
Wow.
So you're just on that pre-release grind, man.
I'm just hanging out.
So do you play a lot of like other formats besides Legacy, like Modern and Standard and stuff like that?
I grinded I played in every PPTQ in the past year here at
Wow.
least. Yeah, modern and standard.
Did you finish well in those or?
I have a lot of top 8s.
Okay.
I won a standard one in October, and the RPTQ is in about 3 weeks, so I'm getting ready for that.
Okay.
I won with Jeskai Control, which I think is why I won, because everybody's expecting a creature deck.
Out of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
I
local players are like, he's playing.
he's playing
creatures."
Carnage Tyrant or something.
Yeah.
And show up with Teferi, and they're like, oh.
Crush.
Well, I sideboarded wrong.
Yeah.
Or I kept this wrong 7 or something.
Yeah, definitely a lot of
Okay.
removal heavy hands that didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, it's nice to switch things up. So you grind some of the modern, you grind some of the standard stuff. You've had some good finishes here in Arizona, and then what else is going on in your life? You got anything you want to bring to the table and talk about here?
No, just grinding Magic,
All right,
plumbing.
all right.
Reach out to Jesse James Adams for all of your plumbing needs.
Yeah. So Jesse James here. I mean, he's a big star. He's a big guy here in Arizona. Everyone pretty much knows this guy.
And he popped on the scene in like a year or two.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot too much here, but is there any lucky lady that's sitting around waiting for you after this podcast?
Yeah, I have a girlfriend. I don't know if she's waiting for me after the podcast, but
Okay.
Which Hot Topic is she working at?
She works at Spencer's actually, but Hot Topic was a good guess.
Okay.
Tight, dude.
Okay.
All right. Well, I don't want to get too personal with you, but that's good to hear, man. Good to hear.
Yeah,
So
for
you got you're performing well in all aspects, the magic and the personal life.
Right.
All right. Tight. Respecting.
Respecting.
Yeah. That's where it's at, dude. Anyone who knows Jesse knows that he's all about respect.
Yeah.
Hard transition. We're going to talk about some news here. So there's a couple things that have happened here for the legacy stuff. First of all, we're just going to start off with what the people here that in Arizona that they want to hear. We're going to talk about the results from the Arizona Eternal Magic event that was held at Player Draw, everyone's favorite West Valley store. That's really far. So number one, we have Mr. Jesse James Adams playing Maverick. Number two, we had Infect, Justin Beck piloting that deck. And Justin Beck is new to the community around here. I haven't seen him play Legacy too much, right?
I think he's a West Valley player. He plays a lot at Pod. So
He does play
he's
a
a
lot
pretty
there.
established player. I think Joe Weber.
On the west side?
Yeah, Joe
Okay.
Weber's mentioned he's done well at a couple of GPs, but he's just never on the East Valley.
Cool, man.
So.
Well, maybe we'll bring him in here to talk about Infect sometime. We have we have Dan Ford on Goblins, and oh man, this guy. Dan Ford has just grinded Goblins for forever and did well with it last year, and now he's starting the year strong with it. So
hold on, real quick. We were talking.
plant a flag. All right,
plant a flag.
Yeah,
No, we were.
pause it.
I was talking crap to Dan a little while ago. So he won last year's first event, right? So
Yeah.
we were trying to get commentary and stuff for the event,
and
he's
he
like,
placed in some top eights on the later ones. Yeah,
and so he's like, I'd love to do commentary, but I got to win this one again. I got to run it back, and he almost did.
he did. He
almost
did. And dude, he's been grinding that deck for a long time. He pilots that deck very, very well. So.
Yeah, I say him and Hadley. He has earned his spot next to Hadley as one of the premier Goblins players. So
I don't know if he's on Hadley status.
well, nobody has Hadley's swag with
No.
Goblins.
Not only his baller status like that. No. But just like
Wow.
Hadley took it down like in 2016. Dan hasn't done that yet.
He hasn't got a
Dan doesn't
Masters
have the
yet.
closing power. He can't finish. He can't seal the deal.
All right.
I'm just joking.
I mean, there is about 150 there's about 150 legacy players here in Arizona. So we have a really healthy scene, and we have two Goblin players. I feel like that's more than the average.
Yeah, that's above average.
Yeah,
I
I
would say
think
for 150 players.
I think we should have like 0.3 is like yours.
Yeah.
And then again in the fourth spot here we have Kyle Hendrickson, which very good Magic player. He's playing his classic blue-white archetype, but mixed it up. He usually plays Miracles, and he's playing Stoneblade here.
Yeah, he did very well with it. Oh no, was it him that? I think did he take out Dan?
No, it was our boy Jesse.
It was
over
our
here.
boy Jesse. Never mind. But yeah, no.
Watch
Kyle,
out for Terravor.
Well, no, Kyle took out Frankie on
Oh,
stream.
he did. Yes.
Yeah, he took out Frankie on stream, which we'll get to him here in a second. And then we had Brandon Hodgins.
Shout out to my boy Tiny. He's been playing Magic for like 9 months.
What?
Dang.
Yeah,
And he's already jumped into
he's
the best
top
format.
aiding events.
Well, I've
Great.
seen his name in our Legacy League that we have here, and I met him for the first time at Pod. Seems like a cool-ass dude.
Super cool dude.
Yeah, and he was playing one of my least favorite decks.
Everybody's least favorite
Oh
deck.
my, yeah. I gave him a little bit of shit when I saw him. I was like, "What are you on?" He's like, "Black Red." I'm like, "Oh, you're dirty." So he's playing Black Red Reanimator, obviously putting my shit talking to shame, making it into the 5th through 8th slot. How did? Does anyone know what he lost against?
He lost against Dan Ford
Goblins?
in top 8.
Goblins.
Damn.
got it?
Goblin King for lethal.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Dan was doing there, but that seems like a really bad matchup for Goblins.
Dan must have ripped hot tar fire.
He did.
Jeez.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he kept an opener of Caracas and no other land,
Really?
and yet
Did he have a
sealed the
vial?
deal. I don't know that much detail.
Wow.
But
No, that's good, man. I don't. Did we have that match on
We
the
do
stream?
not.
Oh, it's too bad. What were we? we prioritize the
I think the
Stoneblade.
matches that wouldn't be done in 5 minutes.
Yeah, the longer games. That makes sense. Okay, and then we have Alexander Corwith on
Local pro.
Death and Taxes. Alexander has played other formats successfully, and I think this is his first kind of big finish with anything legacy related, right?
I think so.
In Arizona,
He
at
played
least?
in a few trials last year, but I think so. This is
This is his first
big
top
finish.
8.
This is his first top 8 at a big boy event.
He's a good player too, so I would be surprised if we don't see him in other top 8s. He's definitely a pretty good player, and he's good with that D&T bullshit.
Yeah, no, he's a decent player and a decent person, and I'm super glad that he's at our events.
He has a KCI deck for sale
I
too.
like
If anyone
him.
interested on the AZ Magic Traders group,
I
so.
like the guy. We have this back and forth between us where we say horrible things to each other when we're face to face. He's a cool guy, good sense of humor, and congratulations to him on his finish there. And then our boy Frankie, part of the Arizona Eternal Magic team, the only one of us to top 8. Oh no, that's not true. Sorry, Tom Kaufman got there too. But
Sorry,
Frankie.
The webmaster.
Yeah, I always forget Tom does our modern stuff. Yeah. So Frankie playing Miracles, and he has some matches on stream where he did some weird stuff. Like he was playing it very weird. Did you guys notice on stream how when he revealed his hand to Kyle with to a Vendilion click, he kept the known cards upside down that Kyle knew about? Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
knew what cards Kyle knew about.
That's a pro play.
That is a pro play.
You know who taught me how to do that?
Who?
Alex Berngini.
Who's that? A non-active Magic player. Anyways,
Rip.
so was he on the blue-white Miracles deck, or I
don't
think
know,
it was
let's take-
blue-white, right?
He was
take-
on AK. I know
Oh,
that
the
for sure.
AK.
See if he's got the
Oh.
Volk here. Oh, nope. Just so Frankie's list here looks like he's running the 4 AKs and no.
Who's mission briefing?
He's
We
running-
talked about that last time.
did.
Mission briefing is
We
lazy.
did. He's playing a copy of Mission Briefing. He's also not running any of the predicts or the portents. I think those are falling out of favor to the accumulated knowledge version. Running, so here's the flex spots here. He's running 1 back to basics in the main, running 2 counterbalance, and then 2 monastery mentors. So that, and a Flusterstorm, which I think is kind of that flex spot-ish area.
Yeah.
But he's running the slim 19 lands versions with the extra preordains, which it seems like is the more popular kind of thing to do. Is
Must be nice to run 19 lands in a control deck,
less lands,
right?
more
cantrips.
action, more cantrips. Yeah,
AK is the truth. I think it's going to be a lasting a card that sticks around in Miracles because it just so much card advantage. Did he have anything cool in his sideboard though? I don't. The one of Leyland of Sanctity is interesting, but other than that, it's a pretty standard sideboard.
yeah. I'm actually curious. Let's take it back a step here. And go back to the 3rd and 4th spot here. Let's look at Kyle's deck and Dan's deck real quick, because blue-white Stoneblade is always worth looking at because there's so many variants of this. So he's on the 3 True Name Nemesis, 3 Snapcaster Mage. This looks pretty standard, except for the Teferi Hero of
Bro,
Dominaria.
he's in here now. He's in the game. He's a legacy card.
And then in the sideboard, he's running a Baneslayer, which is I don't see this a lot on places outside of Arizona.
It's played in Miracle sideboards, but I think it could be good in this deck.
I think a lot of people in Arizona run Baneslayer though,
Yeah.
because we have like burn players and just all kinds of like we have a lot of aggro stuff. It comes in handy.
It's a quick finisher too, and I think
It
so. I
is.
think Kyle's trademark card is the Timely Reinforcements.
So let's look at that. Timely Reinforcements reads, for anybody that doesn't know, if you have less life than an opponent, you gain 6 life. If you control fewer creatures than an opponent, create 3 1/1 white soldier tokens. So what kind of matchups do you think Kyle brings this in for?
Burn goblins.
Probably just burn.
Goblins gets chump blockers, but yeah, like
Any aggro kind of deck, right? Where you're just kind of like trying to fend him off as long as possible.
yeah, it buys you more time to get back in the game.
Yeah, I think this would probably be better in like a Miracle Shell than it is in a Stoneblade Shell that's already running some good 3 drops and 2-drops that can extend the game against aggro.
These guys can also carry equipment, though.
That is true.
So I don't know how
didn't
bad.
think
It's
of
not
that.
too bad, but like it's a cool card. It's definitely not typical, but I think that's Kyle's little spice to the list.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's no sort of fire and ice in the 75, right?
Nope, just the 2 standard equipment.
Okay, interesting. Okay, because the sort of fire and ice, if you do expect a lot of like Delver and stuff, that's
Sideboard.
yeah, that's a good sideboard, even mainboard if you're going to make a big meta call here. Because again, a lot of people kind of play the same things here over and over in Arizona,
Sure.
like Kyle. So
Yeah.
he plays the blue-white stuff, but he did mix it up with the Stoneblade, and I respect that. And before moving on to the last one, moving on to Kaufman's Delver list, let's just look at Danford's Goblin stuff. And you can find all of this on MTG Top 8. So if you're listening to this, you can read along here with us. Let's see. The only thing...
Ancient Tomb in the main.
And 2 Thorns of Amethyst. Okay, so that's the stuff worth mentioning. He was expecting a lot of combo.
The meta call for the combo decks. That's interesting.
4 Winstigators, Chrome Moxes to power them out. Very aggressive list. And also Goblin Settler to go ahead and cut down on your opponent's lands.
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about this at the event when we were looking at the lists. He has the one of Ashen Rider in the sideboard for the Sneak and Show decks. There's no other way he can get it into play other than his opponent casting a Show and Tell.
Yeah.
But when it enters, it's going to blow up whatever they put in.
Unless vial it into play.
Isn't it like
Vial.
an 8-drop?
Yeah, you could,
I've seen it done before.
Technically, yes, you could.
the creature vial player in the room notices that instantly.
You could vial it into play. But yeah, Ashen Rider to the side, which is interesting. But yeah, I think he definitely tuned his deck towards the meta with the mainboard Thorns and the Ancient Tomb. And Dan's a good player. He knows his weaknesses, so I think it's a smart move for him to tune his deck for the meta. And like, I mean, we are a very combo heavy meta with lots of Storm decks.
Yeah, I think Goblins, unlike some blue decks that can kind of navigate the field semi well, like the Goblins kind of list your sideboard slots, and I think even some of your flex spots in the main board really have to be tuned to what you expect. And if you can call that, you can do well. And Danford has proven that here. Because again, if you take like the 75 of like a Grixis Delver or Miracles or something like that, you can pretty much tackle like the majority of the meta. But Goblins, you really have to kind of, I think, fine tune and predict. And he did well. And Danford's good about doing that. So Goblin King, he has one of these in the main, and he finished someone with him. So it's just another Lord.
Well, bro, once he plays Blood Moon, they all have Mountain Walk. He's got Blood Moon to the side, so all his boys get Mountain Walk.
Shit, I didn't see that synergy.
So if there's like a board stall, like he'll just drop a Blood Moon and they're done.
Yeah. And the Blood Moon call is really good. I think in this meta, in the general meta, like with all the basics coming out, I think it's less and less viable. But here in Arizona, where we have like some post players and stuff like that, it does well.
Yeah, in this top
call.
8, I don't think it was in the top 8 field, I don't think it was very effective.
No.
But in the field as a whole, I think it's probably a good call. But
I don't want to dive too much into Dan's deck here, but like his sideboard cards and his main board, like the 2 Thorn of Amethyst, like the top 8 here is not what he wanted to see.
Yeah,
he wanted to see less creature decks, less kind of fair decks, and more combo decks.
Yeah.
And that's why probably he did, better than normal against the Blackguard Reanimator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's got a lot of combo tools against the combo decks for sure. And then Jesse, you took him out with Maverick, right?
I did.
Yeah, you did. The creature deck versus the creature deck.
Yeah, game 1 was a decision. I had seen him play Caracas before, but I knew he had 4 Wasteland, so I was on the play because I was high seed.
Okay.
And I just made a Merit Liege and crossed my fingers, and he untapped and scooped up his cards. And
all right. Well, we're not to cut you off here, but
yeah,
we're gonna
we'll get to the game
yeah.
2 after.
Oh
that.
yeah, we're gonna get nitty gritty with your tournament report here in a minute, and let's finish it off here with Tom Kaufman.
Big Daddy Tom Kaufman on the Blue Red Delver, which I think he's established as his deck over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
He's done very well with it. You can regularly see him or his son, little Tommy K, in the top 8s of these events. I think last year both of them made the Masters,
Yeah.
and Big Daddy Tom is already on his way.
They play a lot, and they're both competent here. So the blue-red stuff here, I'm not too like keen on exactly what is meta, what's not meta or typical, but it's worth mentioning that he is running 2 Grim Lavamancers in the main and 2 Snapcaster Mages and 3 Stifles, which I think is a little bit more like kind of playing like tempo-y and just trying to get some advantage between between the Stifles, the Grim Lavamancer, and the Snapcaster Mages. He's expecting the games to go a little bit longer and to postpone them to get to a good spot with the Mages and the Grim Lavamancers, right?
Yeah,
He's not going complete
trying
like
to aggro you out here.
burn with blue. And then to help that, he's running 4 young Pyromancers, so he gets some value out of there with making some tokens with the Snapcaster Mages. And then 2 True Name Nemesis to finish it off.
Yeah.
As the top of his curve there.
And I think he has the Stifles there for all the people that try and play Merit Leash.
He could.
It buys him a turn.
Yeah.
So he could likely kill you with that one turn, but
Untap and Price of Progress you.
yeah, price is a pain. But no,
Yeah.
like his deck does have the ability, like if he can get an extra turn, he can usually he may be able to kill you. So I think the Stifles are to an extent for that and for some other stuff, but we do have a lot of people that are trying to do the Merit Lage stuff. I know to a lesser extent Jesse is, but it's part of his deck. And a few of us in the valley do play those types of decks. So Stifle's good there, and it's also good at like just shutting your opponent off of their mana when they try and fetch. It's it's like a wasteland effect. So
Yeah. It really
yeah,
is.
no.
And it's part of the tempo game with the Delver stuff. Grixis has kind of moved away from that and for most of the lists. There are some people that do run the Stifle stuff. Rug, of course, is always leaning on that. And I really like how this blue-red list is leaning towards the more tempo style of Rug. The more tempo style of Delver, like Rug, and leaning away from the burn style that a lot of blue-red Delver lists play. Because basically, sometimes they're just like, with the 4 Monastery Mentors and the 4...
Storm Chaser.
The Storm
yeah, like
Chaser
his deck has
Mage.
changed a lot in the last year.
Yeah, he was running that kind of stuff and playing it more like burn, and I guess he's chosen to go with kind of the longer game and move away from the burn with more counter spells because he's running the Spell Pierce and Spell Snare and the Stifles there with the Snapcasters. So a little bit more tempo and long game there. I think that's a wise choice.
Yep.
All right.
Sweet.
So let's talk a little bit about how. Before we get into Jesse, because he did the best in this room.
By a large margin.
You boy.
He literally did the best in this room and this state. So we're going to talk about that here in just a second, but I kind of want to hear about SB's sad tournament report. We both
All right.
did shit, man.
So yeah, and I'll be very brief. So I've been playing Turbo Depths for. I've always been on combo Wii decks, right? Blackguard Reanimator back in the day, Turbo Depths and other crap like that. I like big creature stuff, right? Like I don't like combo storm stuff. I like casting giant fatties, cheating them out, getting them out early, and then winning with combat damage.
I don't blame you.
That's
a good style.
It's a good way to win.
Yeah.
But I've been like trying to branch out a lot. The point of having a big collection is like play your decks, So I've been testing other decks, and I really like how Grixis Delver felt. I've been doing very well at like FNMs and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this to the tournament. And I'm going to do well with a non-combo
yeah,
deck.
I think you mentioned that on the podcast too.
And, I did
last week.
So I played Brad. What's Brad's name? The musician,
Young?
Brad Young. Yes,
Brad
I
Young.
played Brad Young, who's also a combo aficionado. He used to play Reanimator, but he's been playing Grixis decks. Played him round
Sultai.
1. Sultai. He was on. Was he on Sultai?
No, he was on Sultai.
Oh, he was.
I don't know. I didn't see.
So, anyways, he was on a control deck, Sultai Control. I played him round 1. He took me down quickly in 2 games, man. Like game 2, I was starting to get in the game, and a well-timed Snapcaster flashing back Marsh Casualties shut that down for me.
So let's talk about your deck real quick. Did you choose to go with the no stifles, like the 4 young pyromancers?
Oh yeah, Stifle's trash.
Did you do the main boards like the Thought Seizes and the Preordains and stuff like that?
Yes, so
Okay.
I had 2 Thoughtseize main. I think it was 2 Preordains. The 4 bolts, the fork bolt. It was a pretty standard list. I think it was 4 young PZs, 3 Gurmags, 2 True Name,
Yep.
and then 4 Delvers.
Yeah. That's so we didn't talk about this, but that's almost exactly what I played too.
The one thing I did have was I had 1 basic island.
I did have that
Okay,
too.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 Volk,
We
3
both had the same
1
idea.
basic island.
Yeah. And we both did shit, man.
Yeah, we did terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brad just outvalued me round 1. So I lost that 0-2, and then round 2 I played against Kevin Sugihara on Black Red Reanimator. I think game 1 he just crushed me really fast, and then game 2 I was in it for a minute, but I couldn't get much of a clock going, and he ended up just getting me. So I was 0-2, did not drop. I played Dana, one of our homies out there in Sierra Vista. He was on Sneak and Show.
Mm-hmm.
I did win this one. Like, it was really unfortunate. Like, game 2, he just like got stuck on 1 land and never drew a land. It was just discarding hand size, and I got there. Like, it was unsatisfying victory because we didn't play Magic.
Yeah. He just had some bad luck.
Yeah, he had some bad luck. It happens.
I'm sorry, I missed what he was playing.
Sneak and Show.
Sneak and Show. That's what.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he had like Island, City of Traders, and I wastelanded the city, and then he never saw anything else.
That's also a really favorable matchup. So I think even if he did try to assemble the combo, that matchup is very difficult.
Well, yeah, and he very early on like brainstorm locked himself.
That's sad.
So yeah, like he was brainstorm
sad.
locked for a while, and then I just dropped and I played in the side event with
Dana's
you.
a pretty good player. Did you
is.
just have some bad luck, or did you see
it was bad luck.
misplays? And,
No,
just
it
bad
was
luck for
the
him.
variance that got him.
That's too bad. That's how show and tell does sometimes, man. Like those the Sneak and Show decks or the mono blue, whatever. Like sometimes they just lose themselves
Yeah.
because they draw the wrong half of the combo, and it's just sad.
Yeah, the deck and dirtle. And then obviously after I did poorly, I was like, you know what? If I brought Turbo Depths, the Sultai Control deck's a good matchup. Reanimator's not terrible. Like, so I had the regret, and then oh well, we played in the side of it and we did well there. So, but yeah, that was it. It was uneventful, but we have more events to come, so I'll do better there.
Which is awesome, by the way. And if you're listening to this in Arizona, just kind of like want to put a flag there. If you have any feedback on this tournament or the side event that we ran as well, I think it all went very, very well. But if you have any feedback, please let us know. If you are listening to this in Arizona, our email address is arizonaeternalmagic@gmail.com. And so, before we take a break here and then get into Jesse's stuff, David manned up, sat out of the tournament, and ran this stuff. And I just shout out to David because he put on a tournament. He sat out, didn't play, got the commentators, got the feature matches going, was doing the results, and was just on point, man.
Well, we're hosting this O2 Dropcast, and I just knew we're all going to go O2 drops. So might as well go ahead and sit out this one and kind of take the bullet for the team.
Save $25.
Exactly.
And the humility.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I scrubbed out of the main event and the side event, so it was just loss for me there.
Literally 0-2 drop.
Yeah. No, I won 3 dropped. I won 3. No, I'm sorry. I won 2 dropped. 2 dropped.
Not bad.
So round 1, I played Miracles, and game 1 was really like one-sided for me. Game 2 was really one-sided for him. Game 3 was real back and forth, and I ended up barely winning because he was at 2 life and had double Monastery Mentor on the board. I had a bunch of I was playing Grixis Delver, very similar to Espy's, like I was saying earlier. And so I had a bunch of tokens on the board, elemental tokens. I had my young Peasy out. I had Gurmag. Like, I had a full board, and he just had plenty of blockers. My Delver flipped and got through in game 3. Very, very close game. He had to decide to remove either Gurmag, because I didn't think he knew that the second Monastery Mentor was coming out. So he had to choose between getting rid of Gurmag and an unflipped Delver. and he got rid of the Gurmag at 2 life. I don't know exactly what was in his hand, but I ended up taking a Council's Judgment from him. So I think his plan was kind of swords. I don't know what he was thinking, but he ended up swordsing the Gurmag, and then I took his Council's Judgment. My Delver flipped, and I killed him. So and then he had the double Monastery Mentor. So I think that might have been a slight misplay for him, but I'm not sure. I don't know everything that was in his hand. He's a really good player, so he probably had a different plan I'm not thinking of because I'm shit at Magic. But that's how my round 1 went. Round 2, played Stoneblade, got shit on. Round 3, I played Stoneblade again, got shit on. Like, that deck is, I feel like, tuned to beat Grixis Delver. Don't you?
It's pretty good. I haven't played against it too much, so I guess I've either gotten lucky or I just played Gary Wong and I beat him. So
there you go.
So
yeah,
I can see how it's tough though. Like, they're also kind of fast, they're disruptive, they have a lot of good removal, and then like if they get a GT out, like I don't know how you win.
Yep. I think GT and also Batterskull can get big enough to get past all of my threats, and they have a really
They also have true names, so if they suit that guy up with a Batterskull, it's just game over.
Yeah, and I feel like when they sideboard into even more removal, and they have just almost like the reoccurring removal in the main board, plus all the swords, plus the snap swords, plus the true name. Like they just do a little bit better in terms of the removal suite. So that was kind of rough. I was grabbing Grixis Delver because it was the deck that I know the best. I've been playing it for a couple years, and I hadn't been playing a lot of Magic lately. So I grabbed that, jumped in. I was like, give me some combo. Arizona has a lot of Storm, a lot of Reanimator show and tell people that show up to these bigger events. I thought it was a solid choice. Played Control the entire fucking day. And that was exactly what I didn't want to play.
Dead.
So that was my tournament report there. Real short. So we're going to get into...
I think we have a little more news, right?
Just some news.
Brief news.
I am so sorry. We're on the wrong page here. We have a news. SB, you want to go ahead and...
I think in April we're heading out to Jesse James's home turf of the East Coast area.
New York.
Yeah, so it was recently announced we got GP Giant Waterfall, aka Niagara Falls Magic Fest. So that's exciting. It's the first Legacy event of the year. I'm going to call it a Grand Prix because, it's the first Legacy GP of the year.
What are they calling them now?
Magic Fest.
That's gross.
Bro, if I'm trying to pick up a chick, I'm not going to tell her I'm going to Magic Fest.
No, I'm
also not asking my boss off to go to Magic Fest.
Yeah, the reason for the time off, it's going to be a family event all the time because it's not Magic Fest.
Yeah, put that in your PTO request at work.
I'm going to Magic Fest.
Excuse me, sir.
So GP Niagara Falls is going to be great. It is unfortunate because for those of you with families, it falls on Easter weekend. So
Passover
it's for the...
as well.
What's up?
Passover as well.
Passover, all those...
Double whammy.
All the
Everything.
double whammy. So it's April 19th through the 21st. I don't have family and I don't love anyone, so I don't care. I will be there. But it does suck because it does interfere with a lot of people's lives and a lot of people's plans. I think there's actually a petition going around letting Wizards know how them scheduling over holidays and stuff like this. I know there were a couple events that were right after New Year's or Labor Day weekend with GP Richmond last year.
I mean, the majority of the players are going to be American.
Well, I get that, but
the majority of Americans celebrate Christian holidays.
And
right?
a lot of the Legacy players are older, so they have families, so they're going to be celebrating these holidays with families. So
I think that's a bad call for Wizards.
It is.
Wizards, I love your product, but hey, if you're listening to this, which you probably shouldn't, but if you are listening to this,
Mark Rosewater is listening to this as he sips a scotch.
Yeah, he's definitely. You think he's a scotch drinker?
Probably.
I think he drinks wine.
he's a wine aficionado with the pinky up.
Classy, got to be classy.
Only Cabernets or whatever they're called.
But yeah, we get so few Legacy events as it is that it's It's not good. I mean, it's just not good when it's scheduled over like a big weekend because then it makes the head count look bad. And that's what the petition that's going on is about. And we'll make sure to post it on our page so that you can sign that petition to let Wizards know that we want to play in these events.
Yeah.
But they need to know that they're scheduling over, problematic weekends.
Do you want me
right?
to put it in the show notes on our website?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll put it on the show notes.
Yeah, for sure.
But we do have GP Niagara Falls. We've already got about 8 to 10 players that are going out from Arizona, which is exciting. But I want more of you guys to come. So hopefully you guys can abandon your families for the weekend and make it out there.
Luckily, there's no one that cares about me, so I'll be there.
Good,
I'll absolutely
good.
be there.
I think you're working, David.
I'm going to try to make it out, but it's going to be hit or miss for me.
All right. You going to make the homage home?
I've been dreaming for a Legacy GP in New York for 10 years. So
All right.
Yeah, dude,
All
I think
right.
I
So
gotta
you will
go.
be there.
we talked about this
Yeah.
before. Yeah, absolutely.
So we do have that, which will be exciting, and definitely check out the petition in our show notes. It's not a negative thing. It's just letting Wizards know that if the head count's bad, it's because of the logistics, not because of the lack of interest.
Also,
Yeah.
with logistics, one thing they should consider is just the ease of getting to there.
Oh,
Legacy
yeah.
players want an airport that just services a lot of places, a couple international flights, so some people can come in. Flying out to Buffalo, those are expensive tickets. It's kind of a hard destination for people to reach. If it was just like in central New York or just any big hub, that
Yeah.
would be a lot easier.
And I think it's like
Yeah.
a 30-minute drive to where the tournament center is. So
Yeah.
you fly out there, then you got to take an Uber or rent a car, half an hour out. So, yeah, we can do better, guys. We can do better.
Well, again, there will be the petition in the show notes there, and it's not, again, like SB said, it's not a negative thing. It's just it's a positive way to actually show feedback from the community, so that way they can plan their events better in the future. So don't, there's a lot of like people out there that get really aggressive on social media. Please don't do that. Please just go on the petition, let them know what you think, do it in a positive, constructive way, and don't be that troll.
Sweet. So I think the last thing we have before we take our break, David, do you want to talk about the updates?
So there's a new rules update apparently. Let me go ahead and pull it up. I just kind of have a short, too long didn't read.
I read it so I could help out with any gaps.
Please. So
And I have no idea, so this is news to me. I've stayed away from it
So
so I can find out.
first off, what is it in reference to? It's primarily Tabernacle, right?
primarily Tabernacle, but it is to triggers. How we handle triggers.
So how does Tabernacle work now
Tabernacle now works.
or before today?
Before today, if you drew your card and didn't pay for your creatures, they're dead.
Yeah, you missed the trigger. It's your responsibility to remember the trigger,
Yes.
and they're dead.
And
So
you
the
could-
triggers are on your creatures individually. So
Correct.
Tabernacle does not hold the triggers. They are put on the creatures that you have.
Correct. It's like a poorly designed card. It puts the onus
great
on
card.
the owner of the creatures so that it's an upkeep cost that's been added to their creatures.
Yeah.
But one of the keynotes is you are no longer getting warnings for missed triggers that you control if they are created by an opponent's card.
Whoa.
So, yeah. So you don't get a warning for missing the Tabernacle trigger if you do not own the Tabernacle.
And that's not the worst part.
Okay, so that means that the opponent. So I control the Tabernacle. My opponent can miss his own triggers and doesn't get a warning for missing his triggers. So he could just draw his card and then actually just tap his lands, or the trigger's gone and he doesn't even have to tap his mana.
So the other key note is no more default actions for triggers. If you missed, let's say, your pack trigger, your opponent gets to choose whether or not it goes on the stack, and you get a chance to pay for it.
So your opponent has to catch it like a chalice kind of trigger.
Or they have to remind you. So basically, and I understand part of the point, like it eliminates the gotcha moments where you forget about it.
That's the whole point of Tabernacle.
Well,
is
and
the gotcha stuff. Well, I mean, that and it taxes people, but like the gotcha stuff probably wins tons of matches.
But I wouldn't say it rewards loose play, but it allows loose play to, like you can it takes these backsies it almost like. So if you forget your pack trigger, you don't lose the game anymore. You can pay for it now, right? Even if you forgot about it. And same with the Tabernacle trigger. Like if you draw your card, then your opponent can remind you, but you have new information. Like, hey, did I rip something that these creatures are no longer relevant.
Yeah.
So it adds a lot of weird like what ifs and situational pieces to it. But also it's now my responsibility to constantly remind you, hey, past turn, before you draw, Tabernacle trigger.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that the whole point of Tabernacle was to
Tax their creatures.
tax their creatures, and you would be like, all right, is he going to draw? He drew his card. Tabernacle, your creatures like it was.
Gotcha.
Yeah, dude, and that's part of that card and that
$2,000
control. Like
price
that's
tag.
yeah, and that's been around for years and years and years, and I've lost to it multiple times. Like I've been on the other side of the gotcha, and I think it was deserved.
Yeah, you learn from the mistake, right? It happens once, and like as all Magic players coming up through the ranks, right? We make these mistakes, and they sting at first, but then we remember and we don't do it again, right?
Now every time a Tabernacle hits the board, I put a stack of dice on my deck.
And a land under each creature.
And then I start, I do that
I
too.
definitely put the land with the creatures.
Yeah,
'cause
I
I've
put a
lost that
land
card
with
a few
each of my
times.
creatures. Like, it's not a hard thing to remember, and especially it's not like a thing that affects new players, so it won't create bad.
No, but I think I've gotten better because it puts the responsibility on me to remember those triggers, and I think it's just
Well, you know what? Now you can be sloppier, Zach.
I'm already sloppy, bro. I'm so sloppy, man.
We're gonna encourage the sloppy play because you'll be forgiven for it. So, what do you think about that, Jesse?
I ran into a similar situation last year. I top 4 the Pauper Championships.
Oh, they had Tabernacle.
Oh no, I have Curse of the Bloody Tome, which similar. My opponent gets an upkeep effect, but I have to remind them there were multiple instances where my opponent just drew, and the judge was ruling that I was missing it. So at that point, I had asked the judge, "Can I put a dice on top of my opponent's deck?" Because like I can't physically like touch their hand and be like, "No, stop, don't draw." And the rule is that was a legal thing for me to do.
Illegal?
Okay.
No, legal.
Okay.
For me to put a dice because
Oh,
it was,
wait. So you're
triggers.
telling me I can put stuff on my opponent's deck now?
yes.
Oh God, that just be interesting.
Whoa! I'm gonna start putting my coffee on their deck.
Is it iced?
A dice shaped. It's like a
Ice.
dice coffee cup.
Dice iced
Diced coffee?
Diced iced coffee, dude.
Yeah. Well, okay. So like, I mean,
No, that'd be super rude. No,
It
I'm not.
sucks.
I agree. Like it's part of the card, and it's like back in New York when we would test for big events. Like even in playtesting, if you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah.
Because in a tournament, that's what happens.
That's what happens.
and it sucks. But like you guys said,
You learn
it's
from
the
it.
best way to learn. It's the hard way.
Yeah, well, that's all of us here, just to play devil's advocate, which I like to do, is all of us here have been playing Magic for a while. We all have adapted to these small little things. I could see where if somebody was new and they were coming into Magic, it would make it a little bit more approachable because these triggers are important to the game, but there's a lot of them if you're playing Legacy and maybe even like Modern and stuff too. They have a lot of triggers they have to remember, and maybe it makes it a little bit more forgiving. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Missing the Tabernacle upkeep is a rite of passage for Legacy players.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I'm just trying to see why they would do that.
It's part of the
Moto reminds you.
Yeah,
of
Moto
Moto
reminds-
Tabernacle
yeah,
trigger.
but like for paper Magic, I mean, I guess the only reason I can see is it's making it more approachable, more casual, and more forgiving for newer players maybe getting into it. Maybe that's the pro.
I don't know. It's one
For
of those
this.
things that you miss it once and you never forget. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's a hot ticket item because there's a lot of concerns about like I could intentionally miss it and draw my card
See
to
it.
get extra information,
And there's no warnings.
before I make my decision.
And there's
you know?
no warnings on it. That's the big part. Is that
So-
there's no repercussions.
Yeah.
There's no judge warnings on it. If I was understanding that correctly,
Correct.
that's the big part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if there's no way, if you can just look at the top card, it encourages.
It influences your
shiesty-
decision.
and it encourages shiesty behavior. If I was like a super competitive person that was morally gray, I might use that to my advantage, knowing because it's part of the game. I could use it to my advantage, knowing there's no consequences. My opponent has to remember it, and I get to benefit from it because I see more information.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
disagree with it.
We'll see how it plays out, but I also disagree with that. I think you learn from the mistakes. You learn from every game, and it should. I mean, I don't like the change, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah. Well, If you have anything to say about the Tabernacle stuff, if you want to let us know, send us an email, Arizona Eternal Magic. We'll read it here on the podcast. This week, we don't really have a whole lot of time for emails. So the emails that you have sent, we will read those on the next one. Okay, so I missed it the first time. We have it here. Any other news that we want to? Okay, let's go ahead and take a little break here, stretch our legs, and we'll be back with Jesse James Adams Tournament Report.
Yeah, boy.
Welcome back to the O2 Dropcast. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of music there. We all took a break. We all feel pretty good. We all stretched out, guys. Yeah, you stretching?
Oh yeah,
Nice
Do a
and
little-
limber.
Feeling
You did a
good.
little stretch. Use the potty. Use the potty. Everyone's
Like a
bladder's
big boy.
empty.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get into some shit here. We're going to go and talk to Jesse James Adams about his deck that he's been playing for a while now. So I'm going to pull up the list here. That way we all have your shame in front of us.
Maverick Senpai over here.
All right, so a little bit of intro for Jesse. We talked about him earlier, but he grinds. He's a good player here in Arizona. Everyone knows your boy Jesse. He's been jamming this Maverick crap on some variant of it for how many years now?
About 10 years now.
That's a long
Damn.
time, dude.
Some
all of
serious
this-
dedication.
Yeah, all of his cards are bent. Like they're all like marked because
Not broke, just bent.
all of them though, so it's not marked, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're all curved. You don't double sleeve, right?
Not anymore. It hurts my hands.
Okay. All right. So, all right,
Try
Jesse.
that triple sleeve.
Okay, so another intro here, dude. Jesse's a good friend of mine, and I give him a lot of shit for playing this deck because it just shits on my favorite deck, which is Delver. So, with that being said, let's just go ahead and if you're listening here at home, go to MTG Top 8, pull up his deck list here. Go to the AZEM City Champs player draw in Avondale. It happened on January 12th, if that helps you. You can also find it in the show notes. I guess I'll put it there as well, or on our website. But the weird things here that I want to talk about is, first of all, the weird things that stand out to me. And tell me if this is not weird, but you're running a Terravore. Is that weird to anybody else? That's what the fuck is this Terravore shit, Jesse?
It's so a lot of the time night can be huge, but just get roadblocked by things like tokens or Mother of Ruins, and I expected a lot of death and taxes, in which this card is great against. Also, True Name Nemesis is like the bane of my existence. So a lot of the times you'll attack for a large amount, and they'll all take all but one of it. And it also puts them in a position where you're just racing them. And you can do like cool things like with the Sylvan Safekeeper, you can just sack all your lands and make it huge.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
That's a lot of uses there. I did not think of like half of those at least. So for anyone who's listening at home, Terravore is one colorless, 2 green. It's trample, and it's a Lurgoyf. So its power and toughness is equal to the number of land cards in all graveyards, which means all those fetches.
Wow.
Are you running wastelands and stuff here? Yeah, you are. So you're wastelanding the duels, like you're just, and you got the, you got the stuff to make this happen between all the wastelands, all your fetches, the opponent's fetches. Plus, you're running the knights, which puts lands in the graveyard. So this guy can get big.
Right. The biggest I had him was a 32-32
At the tournament
against lands.
Oh my
One of the trials last year was playing against lands in the 3-0 slot.
Please tell me they made a Merit Legion blocked and you still beat him.
They made Marilige twice, which I swords. I chaliced him on 2, so he couldn't play anything, and it took 2 hits from Terravore to kill him.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. So another thing here, if you're looking at this list, he's running 4 Chalice of the Void and 4 Mox Diamonds. So it's a little bit like aggro Lomi Maverick.
It's definitely got that. It's really a hybrid deck.
Okay.
I pretty much cut the Mother Runes and Nobles for those 2 cards,
Okay.
which is really a meta call. I wanted to attack like blue decks, like Storm and Miracles,
Yeah.
which I got paired against, and I think I'm favored in.
Yeah.
And things like Thalia and Gaddock Teeg, just to stop the blue decks pretty much.
All in the main board, too. I normally see Thalia in the side here and there, but that coming down game 1 kind of hurts.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then the other weird thing, and then we'll get into kind of the nitty gritty here, but your sideboard is a lot of 1-ups, and one of those includes Azusa, Lost But Seeking. So, where do you bring that in? What kind of, like, because you already have the reoccurring stuff with the random map, right?
Yeah, I'd picked that for the post matchup. Just keeping them off lands and attacking them. Also, you can Green Sun for it. Sometimes I'll bring it in against control, but usually not. I've been looking into Wayward Swordtooth, which it's same cost, but it's a 5/5 with City's Blessing. It's just more resilient to like Lightning Bolt because you won't always have a Chalice on one.
Yeah.
Or specific, and it attacks.
Oh, isn't it the one that lets you play 2 lands a turn, but it can't attack unless you have the blessing?
1 extra land a turn.
I'm sorry, which one is that one?
Wayward Swordtooth. It's not on my board right now, but it's something I've been looking into.
Okay, cool. So it looks like, but like what I was saying was with the Azusa and the Ramunap excavator, there's some possible synergy there, right?
Yeah, you can just landlock your opponent or make your Terravore huge.
Yeah.
A lot of the times you can wasteland the post deck, but they'll have crop rotation or they'll make more mana than you can keep up with. And I'd known a couple players were playing that. So.
All right. Well, you've been playing this deck for 10 years. Like, why? Like that's that's my big question.
I get that all the time, and Legacy has this like stigma. It's like, oh, it's Ultra One decks and blue decks, and Bobby Green just handed it to me one tournament in New York, and I loved it. I love just like this is like 2009, so there's like no Thalia or certain cards weren't printed.
Okay,
but it was just great to play like disruptive cards, creature cards, and it always had that kind of like underdog, like this is a creature deck, this sucks, like this is a Gristlebrand, Emrakul, whatever format, and sometimes you just spike a tournament with it.
Right on, man. So the deck doesn't see a lot of play, but I feel like the people that do play it are pretty passionate about it. It's one of Anthony Rivera's pet decks too, and he's also passionate about it.
He's always, not always, but he's asked me questions about it. And
well, I mean, obviously you play it better than him.
Maverick Senpai.
Oh yeah. So when you pick up the deck, and there's kind of a couple different ways I've seen you play it. You've played it with the Punishing Fire version, right? You've played it with the strict Maverick colors, running the mobs and the
Noble Hierarchs.
the nobles, yeah. And now you've gone on to this other version that I haven't seen you play. Did you test it coming into it, and why'd you pick the deck?
It was the same 75 I played at the Masters event last year.
Oh yeah,
which I 5-0'd the Swiss on camera, first round of top 8, mulled to 5 both games, and like didn't play. So I was still a little bitter about that. And anybody that knows me, I'm really stubborn. So I said, you know what? I had tested for about a month different Punching Fire, no Punching Fire, Chalice, no Chalice. So I'm just gonna run back the same 75, and got rewarded for it.
Right on, man.
Very nice. I noticed no Life-Alomes.
Yeah, that's probably the most asked question. You just have Excavator, like you're just playing cards from your yard, because you like Night and Terror Warrior are like your big payoff cards. So you don't want to take too many lands out of the yard. And like us, I think Sylvan Library is just like a better card advantage engine in this kind of deck.
Wow. Okay.
That makes sense.
How do you like? So the one really new card, Knight of Autumn. How has that done for you?
That
Oh,
card's-
it's in the sideboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
it's just insane. Like, it's probably going to replace Pride Mage main deck, maybe 1-for-1 or just 2 Knight of Autumns. Like, Burn's really popular, and then there's just every deck has an enchantment or artifact like you care about, from Back to Basics or Blood Moon or Ensnaring Bridge, or even just like random like Four Horsemen decks. where you-
Right.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of utility
Yeah,
stuff. So,
Death and Taxes is definitely one of the rougher matchups.
Yeah.
So I definitely like access to that kind of effect.
additional removal.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And then, so you cited in for those kind of matchups. So let me ask you this: there's a lot of you're running a lot of 1-ofs, and
Right.
you've heard it before. Why run so many 1-ofs and stuff like that? Do you think that you're running 2 Sylvan libraries in the main, and you're also running the Green Sun Zenith? Does that make it easier to find these 1-ofs that you bring in for specific matches?
For sure. Like
Okay.
Azusa and Knight of Autumn are green for Greens and Zenith, and just the power of Turn 1 Sylvan Library is like almost unbeatable for some decks. But I find that like you don't want 2 chokes usually, and we're already favored against blue decks with Thalia and Chalice.
For sure, yeah. I would definitely say, like, with all these, like, you can attack the mana base, you can make a big creature, you can, use the Dark Depths and Thespian stage combo to, for the Delver decks, and just kind of run into that. Like, so you have a lot of advantage against the blue decks. How's your like slower, grindier matchups going? Because there's a lot of control that was at this last
Right.
event.
There was a lot of miracles and a lot of control, which I liked. Like I said, you have Thalia. Gaddock Teague is great because they can't terminus you, and that's like
You can't force a will.
right. Can't force a will. Can't Teferi,
right?
or like a Supreme Verdict, or
Sure.
even just like weird cards, like turns off natural order. Just
Yeah.
So there's a lot of decks.
you played against Storm and you go to game 2.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Speaking of Storm, I'm curious about the Dampening Sphere. So I'm assuming that's for the Stormy matchups. Why that card over some of the other pieces of hate for Storm?
I think, again, kind of being repetitive, like the same cards against blue decks. Thalia, Chalice. It's just another thing I can turn 1. It's also against the like post like Eldrazi decks because they're only tapping for 1.
Okay.
Which was like it overlaps between multiple matchups, and I did have it against, not at this event, but I've had it against Eldrazi, and they're just too slow.
Oh, yeah, it totally shuts down post decks.
Yeah, it shuts down post, and yeah, the smaller Eldrazi, it slows them down enough for you to get your
Right.
big guys out, get a nice wasteland out there, and
Even
just
against,
slow them
like,
down that way.
The Stompy decks like Blood Moon, their cities and tombs aren't adding 2 mana.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
pretty versatile.
Well,
so.
they kind of shut them off themselves though. But like if you get that out early,
Right.
then they can't get that early Blood Moon, that early Trinisphere.
It's
or
not the
whatever.
greatest card for the matchup, but
Yeah.
sometimes you can get them.
I feel like this matchup is pretty good against those Stompy decks.
Yeah, I have.
Just because of like just the suite that you have, like I feel like your threats are a little bit better. Plus, you have the removal for their artifact pieces, which are
Right.
the pieces that they rely on to lock you out.
Yeah. Also, they can go big on like a turn 1 Thought Knot, and then you can just wasteland them out of the game.
Yeah. Right on. So getting into that's your deck. Again, anyone can check it out here, and I'm sure it's going to get a lot of attention because the Maverick community is pretty small. Anything that comes up in the top 8 with
Right.
over 50 people, especially taking down the whole thing, like that will show up on MTG top 8. So
Right.
you're going to probably get a lot of
definitely had people
you might see a
message me on
copycat.
Facebook.
Yeah, there you go too. Yeah. You might see like another copycat come up sometime here. But I haven't seen anything like this. Did you actually take this from someplace else, or did you kind of just brew it?
Jerry Thompson has like an article on Star City. It's like top 10, whatever. And sometime last year I saw it, and I think
You saw the build that's running the Moxes and the Chalices?
yeah.
Okay.
I had cut one Dismember for a Sylvan Library, and then there's an Ancient Tomb on the board, which I didn't really like, and I cut it for Oblivion Ring, just because there was one point there's a lot of show and tell in Arizona.
Yeah, for sure.
And Oblivion Ring just is a catch-all against
A lot of those kind of decks.
weird decks.
Yeah.
So I tuned it in my Maverick Senpai abilities, and
Right on, man. And okay, so you showed up on Saturday, right? It was on Saturday?
It was
Our
last
event?
Saturday,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so we showed up on Saturday. And so what was your kind of like mindset coming into that? Like you run back the same 75 because you saw the success of it at the Masters in Arizona the previous year. So kind of run me through like some of the matchups that you remember there, and how did you start off, and just tell me kind of about the day.
I started off 3-0. For my first loss was to Frankie on camera.
And
played
Frankie was on Miracles.
Right.
Yeah.
I played against Tash, round 1, and I kind of it's like an insane Storm matchup. Like when just Chalice on 0, land pass, showed off all of his fast mana, and kind of just drew creatures and hit a Thalia, and that was it. Game 2, he played all of his 0 drops because of the Chalice play.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, I didn't keep a slower hand, but he just had a turn 2, and then I just drew like every hate piece game 3.
Yeah. What do you side in against Storm? Because it seems like
Super favored.
yeah, it seems like your 60 is already pretty good. But then, what do you bring in for the Storm matchup?
I bring in Choke because a lot of time, like with Thalia, there'll be one cantrip a turn and they'll tap out, and that's pretty much game as long as you have a creature.
Yeah, makes sense.
Dampening Sphere, obvious reasons, and 2 Surgicals.
Okay.
Which actually, game 3, he went for a Pass in Flames kill with 2 Infernal Tutors and like a bunch of mana.
Yeah.
My last card in hand was Surgical, which was funny because he Echoing Truth bounces.
Yeah.
He bounced the Chalice, which didn't let me play the Surgical in my hand. So,
But let him go off.
Right, let him go
So
off.
he needed to, and then you just surgical and shut him down.
Right.
That's pretty satisfying, man.
Yeah.
He set himself up for the win/loss at the
Right.
same time.
I talked to him a little bit about that match. He was saying he had a line to empty the warrens for about 14 goblins, or just definite kill if he goes past in flames. And he just sees you with 1 card in hand. It was a top deck. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go for a definite kill. I respect Tabernacle too much, and he took the wrong line.
Yeah, the unknown card was Surgical, but I agree with just going for the kill there, because I can draw out of like multiple goblins with like GT. I could play a bunch of creatures.
Yeah, just kind of race him there. Because if you
Right.
get a couple big guys out there, or draw a Green Sun Zenith or something like that, you can get. There's a ton of ways you can get back in for sure.
Again, Terravor.
Terravor, yeah.
But yeah,
just Green Sun, Terravor, and GG.
But of the 75, it was just the 2 Surgicals were the only cards that you could have top decked,
Right.
and it was the card he had.
So you were running hot. That's how you started the day.
Yeah.
So then round 2 was another win for you. What'd you end up playing round 2?
I played Damon on. It's kind of a weird deck. It's Stoneblade, but he plays Terminuses.
Yeah, I
Which-
think I sat next to you round 2. I think I
Yeah.
saw a little bit of that. Yeah.
Which I had known from just playing like FNM during the week, which I would never. He played turn 2 Stoneforge and like turn 4 Terminus to me, and I was just like, I wouldn't have expected that.
It's probably why he plays it. But that seems
Yeah,
like, yeah.
a little counterproductive, but like maybe that's where you want to be and get your extra points in.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, I 2-0'd him. I had Chalice on turn 1 both games.
Yeah.
Which shuts down Swords, Ponder. At that point, he's just playing True Name and Stoneforge, which again, Terravor.
Yeah.
Terravor is the answer. It
Yeah,
sounds
it's the
like.
answer to everything.
Yeah. I mean, you've wiped the floor with me with Terravor before. You have.
I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Snapped a few times, man. There's got some saltiness around that Terravor boy right there, dude.
Salt Lord Terravor.
Man, he creates it, dude, for sure. So that was round 2. 2 Odom, not super memorable on that. Seems like you're designed to.
That's the deck I want to play against.
Yeah,
all day
you want to
long.
play against the blue stuff, especially
Right.
the one that's wiping its own board for you.
Right.
So that's nice. Then round 3, you won that one too.
Yep. Tony Murata. Tony 12 post
Our boy
Murata.
Tony.
My boy.
All right.
Game 1, he had turn 1 Pithing Needle on Wasteland.
Smart. Does it every time.
Smart dude.
Yep.
You know.
That card fucks his deck over.
Right.
Yep.
He So I had played Athalia, and his only other land was Mazavith, and he had, like, he was just drawing and drawing. I'm just playing, like, stupid dudes, and he hits his second land, and, like, plays, like, an expedition map, but I drew the Primage to kill his Needle so I could Wasteland him.
Perfect.
He showed me his hand at the end of game 1. It's, like, all 1-drops. Like, he's playing the mono green
Perfect.
version with, like, crop rotation and
Ancient Stirrings.
ancient stirrings. Yeah, those
Wow,
kind of
so that
things.
Thalia was MVP.
Yeah.
So speaking of 1-drops, you do have 3, 4, 5 1-drops in your sideboard. So you got the 2 swords, you got the 2 surgicals, and then you have the crop rotation. Besides that match with Tash, did you have any, like, do you find any conflict with that, or?
Occasionally, like swords, I usually like against goblins or Eldrazi or
You want both.
right. Well, you like even the Blood Moon decks that play Chalice, you want to hit
Yeah.
their like Magus the Moon effects or
Okay.
big creature threats, whatever they're playing.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to consider when sideboarding, but for the most part, I haven't run into any issues. Oh, like
Okay.
Death and Taxes, like you take out your chalices.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to, while I was thinking of it, I just wanted
for
to bring
sure.
it up there.
I've had that question a few times.
Yeah.
but for the most part, it doesn't affect.
Yeah, you don't have too many 1-drops, but there's enough that it was
Good,
like,
yeah.
what's this stuff? So then, so round 3, again, that was a win against Tony. What else happened in that match?
Game 2, pretty much just played my favorite Magic card that's tattooed on my left arm, Netted Reliquary. I just played a bunch of creatures and what was it? I think I had Gaddock Teague in play, and he couldn't cast All's Dust, and I just had too many guys to stop him
Jeez.
Gaddock Teague, man, doing work, dude.
doing work.
In the fair and unfair matchups.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should get a tattoo of him on your right arm, man. It seems like you owe him one.
It's full of Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Favorite
All right.
stuff.
Yeah, that's more important for sure. And then, so round 4, did you win that one?
I did not.
Okay.
But it's on camera. I haven't watched it yet because I'm
Okay.
still a little salty about it.
Oh, that was the Frankie
It
Miracles.
was the Frankie
Okay.
one.
All right.
And,
Yeah.
there was a point where I'm green sunning for 3, and I'm thinking between Knight and Terravor. Knight lets me set up for a Dark Depths kill, which gets around Terminus, but Terravor was more power at the time. It was like 7/7. And I just had one of those games where I was like, I got this, and like just he turned the corner and got me. And then game 2, just not much happened, and he drew a bunch of cards, and that was it. Pretty uneventful.
Miracles wants the game where it's
Right.
not much happens.
Right.
You know, they
I
want
didn't have a Chalice on one.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big deal.
But
Do you
but-
try to mold to in that matchup? Do you try to mold to the Chalice? Is it worth it, or is it just kind of an extra bonus if you have it?
That's definitely a matchup I want it.
Okay.
And I've definitely mulligan aggressively with this deck.
Yeah.
Like more games 2 and 3, or like Arizona, you can look across the table and pretty much know what your opponent's playing.
Yeah, most of the time.
So if I'm like Tash or Okini, like I want a Chalice on 1
Yeah, or 0.
or 0.
Yeah, yeah. Either way, kind of fucks him. All right. Well, so then round 5, did you just draw in, or
Round 5, I
did
could
you have to play it
not
out?
draw.
Ooh.
So I'm playing against Dan Petro.
So you earned it all the way,
earned top
dude.
seed. And I didn't know he was playing because he's played multiple things in Modern and Standard. Win the die roll. I didn't have anything. I think a green sun for Dryad Arbor or something basic.
I'm sorry, I missed the name. Who were you playing?
Dan Petro.
I'm not sure I know him. Did you get no? Okay,
Yeah, I didn't know he played Legacy either till I saw him.
cool. Is he a modern guy in
Yeah,
Arizona?
I
Okay,
think mostly modern.
cool.
So he cycles a Street Wraith. So I'm
Oh,
like,
jeez.
Death Shadow. This is a great matchup. Let's go. I'm gonna land a Chalice on him. Then he plays Faithless Looting off of City of Brass. And I'm just sick. I'm like, I can't beat Dredge. So I play Thalia, and it kind of locks like his crazy go off turns with
Cabal Therapy with
Cabal
Narcomoebas.
Therapies and Narc-
Slows
all
him
that
down
stuff,
a little
yeah.
bit. Yep.
I rip a Bajuka Bog, like a very timely Bajuka Bog. And Brendan, who top 80 with Reanimator, was just like, you played so tight and so well, and you were so serious, and you're doing all this crazy stuff.
That's your MO, man.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was just like, I gotta win. I can't lose. But the sickest play was he had dredged 2 or 3 bridges. So at the end of his dredge, I sacrifice my Dryad Arbor to Sylvan Safekeeper.
Oh, God, it's so good.
And he picks up the card and reads it. And I had the biggest smile on my face.
That's good, dude.
And he's like,
That one of Sylvan Safekeeper dude
just
making
like,
plays, bro.
pop your bridges. And then we get to a point where he's not playing anything. I'm just playing.
Was this game 3?
This was game 1.
Game 1.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. All right.
I drew the Bajuka Bog and had like this sick play that I don't think he even knew really.
So it's a bad matchup for you, but between the Thalia, the Bajuka Bog, and then that sacking of the Dryad Harbor on his bridges just kind of solidified it.
Right.
So how'd you end up finishing it out?
I think I just tacked with Big Knights at that point. Game 2, what did he do? So he didn't do anything crazy turn 1. I think he just like Faithless Looting. He didn't hit anything crazy.
Okay.
So I cast.
That's exactly what you want to see.
Right. I played. I just sequenced my spells kind of weird because I played Thalia, Mox Diamond, and Chalice in the same turn. So I had to play my land, play my
It's a powerful deck.
play my land, play my Mox Diamond, pitch it, play my Chalice on 0 so he can't go off with like LED or anything, and then Torn Thalia. Literally like pray to God and passed.
Yeah.
And it came down to the wire where he was making a bunch of zombies. So I'm at 6 and he has 3 zombies, and I only have like 3 creatures in play. So we're playing a bunch of Drago.
No one can swing.
Right, nobody
Yeah.
can swing. It's a stalemate. And eventually, Knight of Reliquary was just too big, and now I can attack. And he took like two or three hits off of it, but it got to the point where he almost decked himself. I think I had like 4 cards left.
Wow.
So, but it was super tight. It was something I really wish was on camera.
Damn. All right.
Next time.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dredge. Come on. Do the people like Dredge? Is that something the people like to see?
I mean, here and there's some spice on the stream.
For the most part, no, because they just yeet on you, and it's not fun to watch.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it's a solitaire kind of thing. I don't go out of my way to watch
Right.
the Dredge match in the room.
Yeah, if it's like Dredge versus Grixis Delver, it's like, I'll go watch anything else.
Right? Right. Exactly. All right. So then top 8 then. So you 2-0 Dredge.
A 2-0 Dredge, which I
Wow.
didn't expect.
Yeah.
Did you have to play round 6?
Oh, that was round
yeah.
6. Oh, no.
Wait.
We're missing a round.
Yeah, there is. We did have 6 rounds.
So lost against Frankie, then Dredge.
Yeah, we're missing one. Do you remember what it was?
I can't remember.
Obviously not very memorable.
Yeah, not
so,
very memorable.
Yeah, hey, if you're listening to this and you remember getting stomped by Jesse James Adams, let us know. We want to know
Get that
whom he stomped to get to the top 8. So then you get into the top 8. What's your first match there?
It's the rematch. Me and Old Man Kaufman are playing the same 75 as we did in the last event at Pod.
At the Masters.
At the
Yeah.
Masters. Again, I'm highest seed on the play. And he's like, I'm like, I can't win. This deck has so many answers, like Grim Lavamancer, Price of Progress, True Name Nemesis, like all these cards I can never beat in my whole lifetime.
Yeah, we looked at his list. Like, so if you're looking at this Blue Red Delver list, is True Name just the scariest shit that stands out to you?
Yeah, especially with like a go wide strategy like Pyromancer and like a turn 1 Delver.
Yeah.
He just has so many angles that I can't really deal with.
Because 1-for-1, like your creatures are generally better, and you can get the Terravore out to deal with the True Name.
Right.
But but when going wide and going over you with the Delvers is what screws you up.
Like Force and Daze are definitely like, he has counter spells and I don't, so he can kind of just play the Delver game. And
so how'd you squeeze that one out?
Game 1 I got rolled. Game 2 I had the Chalice on 1 on the play.
Perfect.
That one was pretty close. I killed him with a Merit Liege. Game 3.
Stylish kill.
Out with style. Game 3 was pretty good. He didn't play anything, like he was just pondering and drawing cards, which I loved because it gave me more time.
Oh yeah, build your hand up.
There were 3 turns in a row where I just went fetch. I was flooding. I was like, oh, I'm going to lose like this. So I went fetch. He stifled it. Fetch. He stifled it.
Wow.
Then I played a Terravore.
So he just had answers, no threats.
Right.
Yeah.
All answers, no threats. I drew the Terravore.
Perfect.
Which he dazed.
Oh.
And I was sick. I was like, that's it. I got nothing.
All right. So when you're playing against a match where you know that you're going to have days, do you just play into it? Do you play around? Like what's your kind of like what's your mindset when you know that your opponent might have that days?
I usually, if I know they have days, I'll take out more expensive cards like Tireless Tracker.
Okay.
Or, you know.
But do you play into it? Do you just make them waste it?
I was just like,
or were you so desperate that you needed to just?
I just needed to play it.
Yeah.
So I played it. I was on a 2-turn clock.
Yeah.
He had the days. And again, he didn't really draw a lot of threats. But I drew a knight, and then I drew a choke.
Perfect.
So I have a knight, and he had played True Name Nemesis. So, and I was at a pretty high life total, only really damaged for my fetches. And I had played the choke, and I was just like, he's got the force. And he's like, yeah, that resolves with 1 Volk up. I was like, okay. So, end of turn, I get, I just wasteland him, but he's not attacking with the True Name.
Yeah, just leaving it up as a
just blocking my huge knight, and I was just like, no, I just got to go for the Dark Depths combo, and hopefully he had already played 3 stifles, so I see in this list now he has 3, but I was, if he has a 4th,
so you're gambling on that he didn't have the 4th, yeah.
So I made Merit Liege and killed him.
Both games.
Yeah.
Both games.
Yep.
So you got your revenge on Tom Kaufman.
Right. Game 2 was a
Cool.
pretty quick Merit Liege, but Game 3 was definitely a grind.
A slug.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then you won against the Blue Red Delver. Favorable matchup. So you make
it. I don't think it's favorable for him. He thinks the opposite.
I think as a Delver player, I hate seeing Maverick. But what do you think? Does it feel like you're like a step ahead of him the entire time? Like you're just playing better stuff? That's what it feels like for the Delver guy.
Right. But he's got like the Pyromancer to go wide, the Delver to fly over me, the True Name to get through me, and then like Grim Lavamancer main deck to kill like Thalias and stuff.
So maybe the Blue Red is a little bit more difficult than the Grixis?
Or yeah. I think like Rug Delver and Grixis Delver are better matchups. And Blue Red's a little harder.
Gotcha. But
maybe it's just 50-50.
Maybe. I'm a bad Magic player, so I could just not know how to pilot the match very well too. That could be a valid explanation. But I always feel like when I'm playing that matchup with Grixis, I just, no matter what I do, it just seems like the threats are better and they're coming in for like just stronger, bigger hits. And especially with this list, the chalices are just a huge deal. Right. I haven't played against you on this list yet, so I don't.
But yeah, sometimes Chalice is just like free wins.
Hell yeah, especially against Delver, which is 80%. Yeah, 80% one drops. So then for the next match, this is your quarterfinals,
right? Or semifinals.
Semifinals. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, semifinals. So what did you play against?
Dan on Goblins. So this one was like a quick merit leash kill, game 1. I had seen the Caracas, him played against Brennan, and I was like, all right, either he has the Caracas, he has it, and he already played one Wasteland, so I was like, he's more likely to have Wastelands.
So you scouted a little bit.
Yeah.
You scouted a little bit.
Well, yeah.
You got to do that.
And also Goblins playing Wasteland, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to make the Merit Liege and pass. And there was a turn where he tutored for...
I think it was another ringleader because it was on camera.
Yeah.
Was it on camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
or
tutored-
matron. It was something.
Yeah, for something. I was like, he's gonna get Sting Scourger, and I think he had a vial on too.
And you were threatening Merit Lage.
Right.
Okay.
Like
so
a-
the right play there is to get the Sting
Right.
Scourger, right? But he didn't?
Yeah, I don't think he knew I had it at the time
Okay.
because, yeah, I think I drew one of the pieces, played it, and then just made it and passed.
Yeah.
So he passes over.
Yeah.
I play it, make it, cross my fingers. He looks at his cards. And he's like, damn, I should have gotten Sting Scourger.
So he knew.
I think he played a Wasteland that turn though.
He knew. Oh,
Okay.
he had the Wasteland in his hand, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did play the Wasteland though, but after you had made the
After
Merit
I
Lage.
made a token.
So he was just a little bit too slow,
Just-
and then also grabbed the wrong goblin.
Right.
Okay, so he made a couple misplays.
I think it's one of
there.
those instances. I don't really like this excuse or argument, whatever you want to call it. Like,
Yeah.
if I were in the play, I would have won that game. Like, I definitely agree. Like, he would have had a Wasteland up and more power on board, and I'm on the defensive.
Yeah, and
Like,
maybe he would have made a better choice because you would have been a little bit ahead of you. Maybe he would have grabbed the Sting Scourger because he would have had a little bit
Right.
more information and
Yeah.
stuff too, or just had the Wasteland. That might have been
right.
enough to
He
hold you
just
back.
pulled up a Wasteland, and I can never make the combo, and he kills me with a bunch of goblins.
Yeah, right on.
And game 2, is pretty sick. I had Sylvan Safekeeper and Containment Priest, and it's kind of just hard locked him because he was all in on a vial, and I was just attacking his mana. And there was a point where I just had like 2 big knights and a Terravore, and that was pretty much it.
Overran the goblins.
Overran the goblins.
I think you and I, David, you and I were doing commentary on it, and it was really
Yeah.
sad for Dan because the
think-
creature deck had no creatures out, and then there was just all these knights and all this stuff on Jesse's side of the board. So yeah, it was
I mean, it was 2 creature decks. One of them didn't have the creatures though,
Yeah,
so it was
yeah.
just a deck.
It was a beating.
Yeah. I think that's one of the ones I was watching too. I think I watched a little bit of the tail end of that, and then yeah, because Tash wasn't doing commentary for that one, right?
he had just left.
Yeah, he just left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was watching that one. I remember that now. Yeah, I remember that just being super sad. I think the chat was actually rooting for Dan too on that one. I think he
gonna
had
hate.
The
I think
underdog.
he had some Goblin supporters in the chat, you know.
for sure.
He always gets his lackeys involved.
Yeah.
Oh.
But all right. Then now for the finals, what's the story with that?
So my thing this year was like I wasn't gonna play a lot of Magic, like no GPs, like kind of just focus on work and me. But like it's a super awesome series.
Respectable. You can,
know.
yeah, I can get behind that.
I love Legacy. I like after last year, after like 5-0ing the Swiss and losing in top 8 like that, I was like, all right, I'll play in all these. Like, you know, I like everybody in the community and whatnot.
Everybody,
Most people,
thank you. I don't like you either.
same. I was just like, do you want a top heavy split? Because I just want the invite and 2 Horizon Canopies for my modern deck. And everybody told me I could have gotten more.
Oh, dude, you could have. You
Yeah.
gave almost $500 store.
It was
credit.
like 450.
it was like 480. I think I remember.
Okay.
The invite is a pretty powerful motivator, though. So did Justin Beck just not care too much about the invite, or is he
It
just
was all about the credit. Like it's
It's all about the credit,
It's that
maybe-
player draw, which is like almost equivalent to cash.
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Like they have everything.
I mean, we advertise for Player Draw pretty much every podcast. They got 99% of Magic cards in stock.
They sure do.
Facts.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy from New York, Joe Weber. Or,
Oh, he's another New Yorker.
he's another New
All right.
Yorker.
All right, I didn't know that. All right, cool.
So yeah, we were ready though. We were ready to
I know,
commentate the finals. You're like, we're gonna have the riveting conclusion to the day's affairs.
Yeah, chat was very disappointed.
We're like, yeah.
so
If-
thanks for that, Jesse.
No problem.
Thanks, bro.
But hey, you got to look out for number one. You earned your spot there. You did the split. But if you hadn't done the split, the Infect versus Maverick matchup, I feel like that's pretty good for you.
It's pretty good. Like, I have Chalice and Thalia, which and Wasteland.
And
which,
Wastelands.
those combination of cards is very hard for them to beat.
yeah.
But like, Infect can just have those like crazy like invigorate, kill you. You know,
The turn threes, yeah.
Right.
So in that matchup, turn twos, is that what they can? Okay.
Yeah.
So in that matchup, it seems like you would want Chalice and you would want swords and you would want crop rotation. So you'd want Chalice on one and the swords and the crop rotations. Is that how you would sideboard? Would you bring all those in and have the conflict there to kind of risk it? Or would you just not side in the one drops and rely on your Chalices and Wastelands? Walk me through how you would have played that matchup and kind of how you feel about it.
I take out some like more expensive slow stuff, like probably one Sylvan, one Ramunette, even go to Knight maybe. The Scavenging Oozes. The trackers are just too slow, even in Green Sun. But yeah, I would bring in actually Surgical because they only have 12 threats. The Jite to kill their creatures, the swords.
Yeah.
That's another matchup where sometimes like you can have Chalice and a 1-drop, and maybe you're restricting yourself. But
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Do you bring them in anyways and just kind of risk that?
yeah, because sometimes they'll have Forest Days,
Yeah.
the Viridian Corruptor, or like they'll have to set up a turn to kill your Chalice, pass, and like end of turn swords their thing.
So they're live once they kill the Chalice
Right.
because they can't invigorate or Berserk or whatever. Or it's Berserk, right? That's the 1-drop?
Berserk, yeah.
Okay.
Do you bring in choke or is it too slow?
It's too slow. They only play like 3 drops.
Sure.
I bring in Consul's Judgment because that gets around like Vines of Vestwood.
Okay.
It's still slower, but definitely a good answer to get around.
Yeah.
what
As
they
long
have.
as they're not kind of like doing multiple threats at a time.
Right,
Yeah, as long as they're going 1 for 1 with you councils is pretty good.
right.
Even though it's a little bit slower there. Cool. So you think you would have won against Justin
I
Beck?
think it would have,
think
especially
so?
being on the play.
All
like,
right.
You know, turn one Chalice or Thalia, and if they have a Forest, then I just play the other one.
Oh, Maze is probably pretty good too against them.
Yeah, Maze is insane.
Yeah, I didn't think. Yeah, looking at your deck list here, you got the Maze in the main, man.
Right. I just want Maze. Jason Flanzer and I were testing out decks like this. He was playing a black version.
Okay. Like a bug infect, or are you talking about Maverick? Okay.
Like a Abzan Maverick.
Okay.
But just attacking with your knights and mazing them at the end of combat is like such good value.
Oh, mazing your own knight.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Like a lot of people just play it like, oh, I just maze my opponent's creature when they attack.
There's more intricacy to this deck than meets the eye.
For sure. There's a lot of little niche things that I think a lot of people think like anybody can play Show and Tell, anybody can play Reanimator. You know, you just do one thing.
Maverick, you need to be like a little bit of a special person in the head to play
Right,
Maverick, right? Yeah.
Just a lot of little intricacies, like sacking your Dryad Arbor to Sylvan Safekeeper to pop bridges or something like that.
Okay. Well, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
Congratulations. Is there anything else that you want to say about your tournament report? Anything else like noteworthy or decisions?
No, I've had a lot of people ask if I would change any cards in the current meta. It's definitely like an Arizona meta. Mm-hmm. If I were to go to like an SCG or a GP, the list would be a lot different, I think.
How different do you think it would be?
I definitely want more cards against Death and Taxes.
Okay.
Like maybe Madex Stoneforge and Jite. Cut some of the grindier cards, like maybe like a Zusa and Dampening Sphere in the sideboard.
Or maybe like go down on a tracker in the main or something.
Yeah,
too.
maybe one tracker.
What about Sylvan Library? Like the 2 seems like one more than most people play. Do you really like the 2, or is that more kind of designed for the slower games? Do you think you cut it down to 1 if you're not playing in our meta here?
No, I think like Miracles and Grixis are popular enough where like that card on turn one is just so like sets a pace for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Where they have to spend spells to look at their deck, and you have just a free top
So
every turn
good,
essentially.
yeah.
And there's decks like Miracles that don't really pressure you, or like Grixis Control, where you can just pay 8 life and not care.
So do you think two's the right number, or do you think moving up to 3 in a larger meta would be good? Because it seems like it just sets you ahead so far that it's really valuable for this kind of deck.
Yeah, I think 2 is the right number, to
Okay.
be honest. Like, even sometimes like I'll like have 2 and they don't stack, so
Yeah.
it's not that great. But like 3 might be too many.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think that you would maybe want to, like in those grindier matchups, you would almost want to see those and a chalice on your opener, like one of the two.
Right,
So
like-
between the 2 of those and the 4 chalices, you feel like you can kind of get ahead in those grindy blue matchups.
Right.
Okay.
Like you want to turn 1 a 2-drop.
Okay.
And even they force it, then you just play a threat like Knight, Tracker, Terravore, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably wouldn't change much as far as that goes.
Well, right on, man. You definitely have grinded this deck a lot. You definitely earned your spot for the Master Series this year.
Yeah, I'm hyped for that.
And you have, yeah, dude, there's a lot of people that are hyped for you too, man. Like this, you've been playing this deck a lot, and like same thing with like Dan Ford and stuff. Like you get rewarded.
Right.
That's how Legacy is too.
Yeah, you definitely get rewarded for knowing your deck.
Yeah, for sure. And making good meta calls, which it seems like your deck, you did a lot of kind of weird things that may seem bad in the greater, like we were just talking about, or maybe not as useful. But for here on our meta, you made some good calls and got super rewarded.
Yeah, for sure. I think like even the Masters event last year, 16% event, like the deck was very tuned to like that meta,
Yeah, your expectations.
which I think is a cool part about the community.
Yeah. Well, when you have it, you can kind of play little mind games too.
For sure.
Some people like to spike our events here with stuff. Looking at SB over here.
Yeah.
All right. So again, congratulations, man.
Thanks.
So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for the O2 Dropcast for today. Jesse, got any shout outs? Any special people or events you want to mention here?
Shout out to Pod. Always great events. Shout
Yeah.
out to you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bobby Green for dragging me out to Arizona and getting me into Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Right on, man. Right on. Shikowski?
Just keep playing some weekly Legacy. That's where I get my games in, since I kind of sat out on the City Champs.
Yeah, no, yeah. We're gonna get like someone to run the tournaments.
We'll figure something
Yeah,
out.
we'll figure it out so we can.
Yeah,
We
the
can-
second cities will be mine. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I got to
yeah.
get my spot in the Masters too.
Get it.
Think you're gonna bring the big boy deck there?
We'll see.
right.
Maybe some 4 horsemen.
Please don't.
Judge.
Right? Just slow play. And SB, how you feeling? How you
Good,
holding up over
good.
there?
I'm doing well, sitting in the corner. But no, my shout out again. I always do it. Major shout outs for David for scheduling out all of our events for the year. So all of our calendar invites are on Facebook. Thanks to David putting that together.
He's the man.
And although Zach, you and I did terrible, a big event is around the corner. We have the PT on February 10th. So I am looking forward to avenging my poor record at Pod. And where's this one at, David? Is that?
It's Amazing Discoveries Gilbert.
Oh wow! So we are going from the best shop on the east side to the best shop. Best
West
shop on
side.
the west side to the best shop on the east side.
got it.
Oh man, this is gonna be amazing.
Got it. Amazing Discoveries Gilbert doesn't have as many cards though.
Oh, they do. They're Tucson shop. Like they're a hub. They're like huge. So
Oh,
you can
yeah, I
get
guess
it. It just
yeah.
takes a day or two to come from
Yeah,
Tucson.
that's right. That's
But
right.
yeah, those are the like two powerhouse shops in terms of singles and selection.
Yeah.
the
Pod
Christmas-
doesn't do any online stuff though with
No.
with their singles and stuff. So that's if you're listening to this outside of Arizona, it sucks, but we got a gem here. We got a nice little magic oasis in the desert out here at Pod. And then we have Amazing Discoveries. Again, that's on February 12th.
February 10th, and it's on a
10th,
Sunday.
excuse me.
Sunday.
So those of you that work on Saturdays can come play with us. So
Wow.
Is that going to be streamed?
No.
No, just the big ones are going to be streamed.
We need a break from time to time, and we're all going to play, just have a good time. So no streaming.
I want to do commentary.
It's
since I
going to be a
can't play.
smaller event, so it'd only be like
for sure.
a few rounds of streaming. So I don't think it's kind of worth it to set it up for some of that stuff. But we'll probably take some pictures, maybe. Definitely we're going to make some announcements, and if anybody goes 4-0, 4-0, they get a buy. I think there's a little bit of a different structure. David, do you remember the structure?
Yeah, if there's going to be 16 or less players, there'll be 4 rounds. But if we hit 17 or more, which we probably will, it's going to be a 5-round event.
Ooh.
You only get points for our series if you have a positive record. So 3-2 will get 1 point, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right.
4-1 gets 2 points, and then our 5-0s will get a bye and 3 points. Yeah.
Sweet. I can't wait to get that bye.
Yeah.
In the previous years, there's been a plethora of points, and this year we are cutting down the number of events and cutting down the number of points. So each event is worth more. Each point is worth more than it has been in the previous years. And I think that is going to work out better to actually determine the top 16 players in Arizona. And
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap it up for the O2 Dropcast. Thank you for listening. Again, this podcast is mainly for our awesome community here in Arizona to showcase the awesome players like Jesse and the other people that we've had on, Nick and Tony Murata and Jim. And so we've had Gary Wong. Oh, yeah.
Leave him out.
Jeez, I can't.
My arch nemesis.
Poor Gary. I'm so sorry, buddy. No, we have some awesome players here, and this podcast is to showcase them. This podcast is for mainly our community here in Arizona. But if you are listening to this outside of Arizona, I would like to hear from you. We do have some questions that have been emailed to us, so I promise we will get to the good ones, not the troll ones, in our email. Maybe a couple of the troll ones. But if you do have any corrections about maybe some stuff that we might have missed, feel free to email us. If you do have any corrections for Jesse, or if he can think of if you're the person that we left out, apologies. Send us an email there. And of course, any questions, we will be doing a question segment. I promise on the next episode, we're going to get to all of those. And that's gonna wrap it up here for today. As always, with us today, we had Mr. Jesse James Adams. Say goodbye to the people.
Later.
Mr. Daniel Espinoza.
Peace.
And, of course, Mr. David Schakowsky, the man of the hour.
Bye-bye.
And my name is Zach Zent. Thank you for listening to the O2 Dropcast, and we'll be back in a week or two.